Good evening, legends. Bitcoin is at a very interesting point right now, and I think it's important to look at a few different potential scenarios for the near future here. So I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin, a few altcoins, go through a couple of my personal opinions, and as always, touch on a few strategies I like to use, usually revolving around the indicators here for scalping, risk management, and that sort of thing as well. So to start things off, looking at the weekly chart here, I still think that Bitcoin's in a beautiful position here. I know a lot of you guys who are familiar with my outlook on the market. I really do think that we're on our way towards that 50,000 US dollars. Obviously doesn't have to happen, but just the fact that we broke this such a serious structure level here, and, even the fact that we're consolidating on top of that 236, or no, sorry, we broke through that and now we're on top of that 382 Fibonacci resistance. You can see that on the weekly time frame here. We're just tapping away at that resistance, now flipping into support. Now, in a strong downtrend, like what we had for this bear market here, naturally, if the trend was going to continue and it was going to be very aggressive, quite often the 382 is where you see the trend kind of carry on forward. So the fact that we did end up breaking above that now for a few weeks, almost a month here, we've been consolidating on top of that level. I think we're in a very good position right now. I can't help but feel like this is going to turn into some sort of a bull flag, get kind of a measured move, something like that. And from where we're consolidating now, I don't know if we're going to quite get that sort of a measured move. Maybe even just a little bit smaller of one here, more something like that. From where we'd break out now would actually line up with the 618. But I really do think that this is kind of the target for our next big pullback. And again, anything can change in the charts. Anything can change with fundamentally, especially on these longer time frames like this. But I really can't help but feel we're on our way towards that level. How we get there, it may take a while, it may take a few weeks or even a couple months, that sort of thing. But I really do think that that's where we're going to see a very heavy rejection. And obviously there's a lot of people watching this level at this point because that is the 618 Fibonacci rejection pulled from our high to our low of this swing. It also lines up beautifully with this resistance, this structure that we formed back here. I think there's a lot of things going for it, but the fact is that a lot of people are watching that level. So you know what, maybe we even get some kind of a squeeze and we end up targeting those higher Fibonacci's. You guys know on the shorter time frames, I love pointing out the 786 and the 886. That Fibonacci pocket, that's been my favorite this market cycle. So maybe we are going to see that on a larger time frame. I still am more leaning, when it comes to a macro point of view, I like to trust the 618 a little bit more, just because we've seen it, how it reacted in previous market cycles. Even this was about a 40% correction to the downside there. So very important level. Once we end up getting those weekly closes above that level, that's where things just seem to go parabolic. I mean, the last two market cycles it's happened. Does it have to happen again? Absolutely not. But it's definitely a level I'm interested in paying a lot of attention to when we end up getting to that level eventually. Looking at the 4-hour chart, there is something that I want to be a little bit cautious of right now. The fact that we did kind of, here, let me actually just make things a little bit clear here. We did set this resistance back here, and we just kind of got these failed attempts at breaking out through that resistance. Now, after I get one failed break, kind of something like that, I like to extend that trend line. Rather than having that horizontal resistance, I like to just extend it something like that. And you can see that we tested that absolutely perfect again. So we are definitely looks like we're in some kind of a range here, kind of between my green support line here and my red resistance line. To me, it looks a little bit bull flaggy. I can't help but feel bullish on this, but I mean, obviously the market doesn't give a shit how I feel. It looks a little bit like an ascending triangle, but it also kind of looks like a rising wedge. So I just think that there's a couple important trend lines that we should be watching here on the 4-hour chart. Let's see. I really do think that if we get some kind of a breakout, I think that's where we kind of test the upside of this other channel that I have mapped out, just kind of a more of a broadening wedge. and maybe we get the continuation from there to the upside. But those are just kind of a few trend lines that I'm watching currently. Bringing up the advanced trend indicator here, you guys know that this is my favorite. And one thing I really like to look for is which way the reversal warnings are trending, and that would be these orange W's here. So something that I like to see right now, I don't like that we have a little bit of mixed signals right now. We have this low here, we set a higher low, and we then set a higher low again. I really like that we have the W's trending to the upside like that, but we did have this little bit of a warning come into play. I'm just going to make that yellow as a warning, just that we ended up getting a lower high here. So we lost the fact that, for a while there, we had the W's in agreement. That's where this would have been a beautiful buy entry. Because, we have the lows as well as the highs for these reversal warnings trending to the upside. So in that case, with this strategy, that's where I like to start buying the higher low reversal warnings. But now that we have this little bit of a warning here, it's just, like I said, just a little bit of caution moving forwards here, because I absolutely think momentum is to the upside, and I do think that we're going to break to the upside, but we do have this warning. It's not necessarily a sell signal yet because the bottoms don't agree. If we end up, let's say, setting a lower low here with a W, something like so, and then we end up getting another lower high, that's where I would be interested in starting to look for shorting opportunities, because then we'd have the lows as well as the highs in agreement with each other. I'm not so interested in buying the low reversal warnings at that point because they're trending to the downside. I want to play the momentum, so that's where I'm starting to look at those lower high reversal warnings. And more specifically, I really like to see them line up with some of the trends. And by that, that's same indicator, the advanced trend. I have everything on here. You can see that I actually, on my trading view here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 advanced trends. And that's just so that I can have way more of these trends, because you only get 2 per indicator. So I really like degen scalping. I like being on shorter time frames. The 1 minute is my favorite thing to trade with high leverage. It's not for everybody. I'm not saying to go and do it. Do whatever works for you. But what I do when I'm on the 1 minute chart is I have all these trends up. So I have the EMAs, everything from basically the 1 minute to I think all the way up to the 4 hour. And I really like to see here we go. Let me just bring up a whole bunch of them here. I'll show you what I mean. I go into the 1 minute and start to look for which way those W's are trending and where they're kind of lining up. Oh, this looks like a lot when you're really looking at it here. But this is where I start to look for those reversal warnings along the trends and also which way they're trending, right? So here, for example, we have a low, we have a higher low, and on top of that, we're still finding support at one of these EMAs here. So you could have a very tight stop loss in this kind of a thing. Invalidation, the way I do this strategy, invalidation would be just below the previous W, just to have that kind of just losing the structure of this entire setup, basically. This is just kind of one of those setups that I look for as a very tight scalp type of a thing. There's a lot of times where it doesn't play out, but it's usually such a tight stop loss, especially when you can get the second W so close to the first one and have in that case, a reasonable, what feels like reasonable to me, stop loss below the previous level. And it's just one of those nice tight positions to be in. I mean, when you start going into something like this, it becomes a lot more risky, right? Yes, we have the W's trending to the upside. Yes, we have them trending to the upside here as well. But in this case, your stop loss would be lower, quite a bit lower, just because if you're going by this as an invalidation. But those are just kind of some rules that I came up with. This is my own strategy. I mean, obviously do your own research, do your own back testing and that sort of thing. I'm just kind of throwing out some ways that I like to use these indicators because I know there's a lot of new people in the group lately. And yeah, which way the W's are trending, and when the W's are kind of landing on these EMA trends, those have been some of my favorite scalping strategies since getting involved with this community. I've been here for a year and a half now, approximately, doing these streams and just using these indicators, and those are just a couple of the strategies that I've come up with over the year, almost years. Recently, I'd noticed that they did add this volume delta indicator. This is a very cool indicator. I do think this is game changing. I just started using it the last few days. But just having that point of control mapped out and just where the volume is and that sort of stuff, like I think that's a beautiful indicator to add as a bit of confluence. Actually, one other strategy that I want to mention, it kind of lines up with this as well. But another thing, actually, this will probably, I think just from an eyeball, this looks very accurate. I know this is Captain Hindsight here, but when I talk about these W's, which way they're trending as well, another thing I love to look for is Fibonacci's. I love Fibonacci's to line up with my scalp signals. So if I can hit, let's say, a higher low reversal warning inside that 786, 886 Fibonacci pocket, or very near the 786, anything like that, I consider that extra confluence. If my Fibonacci's are lining up with these trading strategies, basically kind of the more confluences that I have in a position, kind of the... I guess just the more weight I'm giving it, the more margin I'm going to put into my trade and that sort of thing. But here's an example. Like I said, we had these W's here trending to the upside, W's here trending to the upside. Let's just check this Fibonacci from that swing basically to high point between there. Look at that, basically lines up with the 786, just added confluence there for a nice scalp setup there. Those are some of my favorite ways to use these indicators, and basically these few indicators as well as Fibonacci's are really all I use in the charts anymore. I don't really look at much else. See, now that we're starting to see some of these bearish crosses, we're below the point of control. We see our lower W's trending to the downside. I'd be interested in scalping some shorts later tonight if we start seeing lower high coming into play or something like that. I think that's something that would be interested in looking for, especially to get a nice tight stop. Once again, looking for that 786, 886. Notice the point of control is right in that pocket as well. If we could get some kind of move now up here, I would be interested in looking for some short opportunities just for a scalping point of view. What else did I want to look at? One coin that I really wanted to look at with you guys was prop chain, and I know you guys have seen me talking about it. It's one of the only altcoins I have really been posting about. I've been running a grid bot on this while we were trading in this range here. Yeah, it's one that's really been on my radar. I bought into this one at about, I think it was, $1.18 down here. Basically, I was looking at this 4-hour double bottom. We broke out of this falling wedge. And as well, going back to my Fibonacci's as confluence, right? From where we had this swing low to where after we got this little bounce here where we came back down and pulled back, we ended up finding support right in that Fibonacci pocket again. So basically, I've been in it since then. Not with a huge position, but I've been using grid bots to accumulate more for me. Also, just sometimes I'm taking little scalps on it, but it's kind of hard to trade because it's such low volume, and I mean, slippage can really be a bitch and that sort of thing, but it's only spot trading anyways. But yeah, basically, after we got this ascending triangle, I was pointing this out in the channel. My first bit of resistance that I was looking for with that breakout was, once again, just looking at that 786, 886 Fibonacci pocket. And you can see that last night or early this morning for me, we shot right to that 886 Fibonacci level absolutely perfectly, as basically as soon as it launched on the MEXC crypto exchange this morning. So, I mean, not too unexpected to see a little bit of a pullback there. But typically speaking, I don't know, if I'm expecting a harsh rejection, I'm kind of expecting that harsh rejection around that 886 fib, and the market doesn't really seem to care right now. It just seems like we're staircasing higher, in my opinion. We broke out of this beautiful ascending triangle, just basically pulled back and just built a little bit of structure here. Now, you know what? If we end up climbing higher, at least we do have more structure down here. So it's doing a very nice job of building structure along the way. I think this is like a, I don't know, 12 or 15 million market cap, something like that. Not really much else as far as resistance levels. The only thing I can see would be basing it off of, we do have the all-time high coming up. And after that, I guess Fibonacci levels, the only trend line I can find would be kind of just connecting 2 points of contact like I was talking about earlier, looking for some kind of a third touch along there maybe. But there's so much going on with this coin too lately that it sounds like they're going to have a crazy December, a whole bunch of stuff. I saw some of you guys talking about this in the group today as well, so I did want to touch on this. I'm not just shilling it purposely just for my own benefit here, I promise you. I saw some of you guys talking about it, and you guys, somebody had actually posted about this exactly, I believe. What they posted on their Twitter here, a whole bunch of things, token burns, that sort of thing. So to see the fundamentals lining up with the technicals, you guys know I'm personally more of a charts guy. But, you know, seeing such beautiful chart patterns playing out here and seeing that they're actually building something, I do see potential here. So obviously not financial advice. It is a low cap coin. There's obviously more risk with lower cap coins. But yeah, just want to be transparent with you guys. That's one that I hold. So Ethereum on the 4 hour looks like a beautiful ascending triangle to me. We're going to have to see what happens. And obviously these things don't have to break out a specific way. Yes, I lean more bullish with this type of a pattern. It typically plays out bullish. But there is obviously the potential to just end up flipping that support into resistance and then kind of revisiting some other support levels and see what happens there. I do like that, you know, we're getting near this support trend line again. We do have this little green dot showing up on the advanced oscillator down here. Really like to see that. What does... Well, we do have resistance up ahead. Again, it's good to be aware of both potential scenarios. I like that we're building up. You know, we're not really seeing a harsh rejection at this level, but it is obviously a strong supply zone. So again, just gotta be cautious of both potential scenarios here. I think that we're in a good position, personally. Again, we have W's, the top ones, trending to the upside with Ethereum here. The bottom ones trending to the upside. We do have these nice demand zones forming below us, especially down here. There's a lot of demand down at this range down here. I know it is a bit of a tumble if we take it, but it is nice to see that no matter what happens with the market, I just think there's so much support being built before we're going to actually take those parabolic runs to the upside. It looks like a lot of things are doing, just doing the healthy thing and actually building some support levels so the market can staircase higher. How is everyone else feeling about the market? Are you overly bullish, overly bearish? Any particular alts you want me to look at? Stock poker, 1 minute. You have the spine of steel. Yeah, I mean, it's not for everyone. Obviously, trading a 1 minute chart can lead to revenge trading, over leveraging yourself, all that sort of degen behavior that we shouldn't be doing, right? So, settings for my advanced trend. I really don't have much up. I have trend 1 and 2. I don't use auto or filter or trend confluence or anything, but I have all the trends from 1 minute up to 4 hour. So I'll basically, just depending what I'm looking at, quite often I'll have all of them up. But yeah, I use the EMAs. I use the reversal warnings just to kind of see which way they're trending, like I was talking about. I use the tops and bottoms and supply and demand. That's basically all I use with this indicator. Sometimes I'll turn on other features and just kind of get a second set of eyes, but just the strategies I've come up with, these are kind of my personal favorite settings and signals. Did I break out the dry suit? No, haven't been in the haven't been in the icy water. I'm ready for snow season.
Dude, you
Yeah, what else can we look at here, guys? I will bring up, basically, I talked about everything that I want to talk about as far as like Bitcoin and Ethereum's, kind of longer outlook here. And my opinion with Prop C, I think that's an altcoin worth watching here, moving towards the weekend, moving into December. Other than that, I was just going to bring up some degen timeframes, look at the 1 minute charts, see what the signals are doing live. I can take a look at altcoins for you guys. We can just chat crypto. We can chat life in general. Whether it's on the mic, in the chat box. I'm just going to clean things up a little bit here.
I would really be interested in seeing you trade a 1 minute live.
Well, let's bring it up and see if anything jumps out at us. Like I said, I'm kind of looking for if I could see a lower high W come into play somewhere in here. I'd be interested in taking a scalp short there. Let's get rid of these fibs because they're an eyesore. But yeah, and the thing is, guys, actually I wanted to talk about something too, because like when scalping these short time frames, and like I showed how tight you can get the stop loss like that, yeah, absolutely, there's a lot of times where I know I've heard the other coaches talk about this too, is that you can lose trades when you're taking tight losses like that compared to the runners that you get out of them. I mean, that's why I love these trades on the 1 minute, is I can get into such a tight stop loss trade, and obviously I start taking profits quickly if the trade's going in my favor. But what I like to do is close a quarter to half of my position very quickly, and from there I like to hope to catch a home run with the rest of my trade. Obviously, you're not banking on catching a home run, right? And that's kind of where most people struggle with trading shorter time frames, is if someone enters a position on a 1 minute chart, they still feel like they nailed that trade, and they are expecting the type of move that a 1 hour or a 4 hour chart is going to throw at you. That's where you kind of run into trouble. But if you know to pay yourself, but then also be open to the idea of having kind of a position run, you can get into some very nice positions. And I posted about a scalp long I tried to take this morning that actually worked against me. Let me bring up, what was it? It was Mex. Where was it? I know it was on the 1 minute chart. And we had a double reversal warning signal. I want to say it was up here somewhere. I think it was right here. Yes.
Still lose too much.
Good guess. So yeah, this is another signal that I love scalping. Is it's not going to work out every time, but when you get a double reversal warning like that, quite often you'll get at least some kind of a bounce. And I'm calling this as an exact bottom. I'm basically saying, like, if I drop that level at all, I am out of that position, because I think that that's just entirely a failed signal if that's going to happen. And I don't really leave much wiggle room on that kind of a scalp. So, I mean, the chance for a nice big bounce out of something like that when the loss was only about, something like that. Here, let me just bring out the percentage tool. what I think it was like a 25x, I think it was. So it was still a very small loss. Those are the kind of scalp positions I love to get into, and had we got back up to, in that case, the 786, that's kind of where I start to, no matter how it looks, that's where I want to start locking in profits if I get that kind of a bounce towards these levels. I just think there's such a high likelihood that those levels do get some kind of a reaction the opposite way. So that's really where I like to take profits as well, at least on part of my position, like I said. But that one never worked out. But again, even though the trade didn't work out in my favor, it was just a good way to use these indicators as risk management, because we're not going to win every trade, but that was such a tight stop loss where I was able to avoid this entire mess. What else do we have here? It looks like we are climbing a little bit. Yeah, stock poker, exactly. That is most people's downfall. Basically getting greedy and not paying yourself. And that's kind of why I came up with a little bit of a rule for myself as well, that whatever time frame I'm playing, whether it's a 4-hour chart, a daily chart, a 15-minute chart, a 15-second chart, within 10 candles of whatever I'm entering, I want to be starting to think about downsizing my position. So let's say I'm on a 1-minute chart. Within 5 to 10 minutes, I want to be downsizing my position. Whether I'm in a small loss at break even, whatever, I want to start downsizing at that point, just because I want to keep it in the back of my mind that whatever time frame I'm playing, try and stick to that. Make sure you're trading what you're trading. If I'm entering on a time frame, I'm looking at taking profits on the same time frame, if not a smaller one, just to make sure I'm trying to pay myself. So yeah, like I said, if it's, I've entered the odd trade on a 15-second chart within 2 minutes, I'm making sure that I'm starting to close my position. 1-minute chart, like I said, 5 to 10 minutes, I want to start closing my position. Biddy gonna send? Yeah, Dust. I agree that I am leaning towards the bullish scenario. I can't help but feel like we're targeting some of those higher Fibonacci's. I think if we were gonna see a hard rejection around these levels, it would have been at the 382 fib. I don't see why we'd consolidate right on top of it for a month and then all of a sudden lose it. The monthly close. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, just a massive engulfing. Like, obviously, I mean, the higher low would be down here, right? So we could have quite a pullback and still be healthy. But yeah, generally speaking, on the monthly chart, I mean, quite often we see these things just build momentum. I don't know if we're gonna smash through this Fibonacci first try, but I really do think we're on our way there in the next couple months. March 2019. Oops. Yeah, exactly. In a dot long from 5.16.6. Yeah, I mean, I think Dot's a great project. I don't actually hold any, but I know it's performed well in the past. Let me bring it up here. Get to the 4-hour. 5.16.6, you said? Oh man, nice entry there. right before a little blast off on the 4-hour. Yeah, and I think that, you know, if Bitcoin does well, I think DOT would also do well. It also looks like we had this beautiful falling wedge. You guys know another rule that I have that I talk about sometimes? When I look at trend lines, I typically want them to have at least 3 touch points. That's just kind of a system I've come up with over the years. If I only have 2 touch points like this, I'm not really considering it a valid trend line yet. But the fact that we tested it a 3rd time and then got this break above, I think this looks beautiful, in my opinion. Levels to look for resistance, maybe if it does get a little higher, maybe, you know, I would be considering taking some profits in this box, just because I give a lot of credibility to that 786 886 Fibonacci pocket. It could absolutely smash through, but I just like to start closing a position fairly quickly myself. Actually, I can almost guarantee this was that 886 here. If we pulled from where we topped out here, bottomed out here, look where we got rejected. Again, guys, this is just why I love this Fibonacci pocket so much. You see it come up time and time again. I really love having my entries in that box. Just for one, let's say you did end up shorting this box. Let's say you laddered in at the 786, 886. You got your entry somewhere in the middle here and your stop loss just above this range, basically. You know, nice tight stop loss for the nice type of move that it pulled there. And that's why, you know, rather than playing a breakout, I personally like finding those entries around that 786, 886 pullback, just because you can get such a tighter stop loss, just much closer to the outside of the range that you're in. Log scale versus regular. I have my weekly chart is the log scale, the one that I was looking at earlier, and I don't think we hit the 618 yet. I'm taking the full swing from bull market high down to our bear market bottom. On the log scale, the 618 is up at around 48, 49K for me. My opinion between logarithmic scale and regular, when I'm trading, I like to use regular charts, but when I'm looking at the macro time frame, when I'm looking at the weekly chart, I like to look at the log. Just kind of helps you compare with previous market cycles, right? Obviously a broader picture. Just curious, just mapping out some random trend lines here. Can we find anything that should concern us? Bull market bottom. Well, I don't like how we dropped that trend line. I don't know how much credibility I want to give that. I don't typically map out trend lines on the log scale. I like it for looking at Fibonacci's and stuff like that, but yeah, typically speaking, when I'm trading, I'm not looking at the log chart. I know a lot of people do, though. I mean, again, I think it's all personal preference, and I think that's where it's important to do back testing, because we could have the exact same charts, the same trend lines, the same indicators, the exact same settings, and we would trade the markets completely different. So I really do think no matter what indicators you have, it's a good idea to do a little bit of back testing and just find out what naturally catches your eye, because you're going to see things that I'm not going to see. I'm going to see things that you're not going to see. Everyone sees things differently, right? So I really do think back testing, and obviously I know it's always talked about journaling your trades. That's one of the reasons I love talking to you guys here. It's just a way of me actually talking through my emotions, and I can always go back and look at how I was feeling about the market and kind of go back and treat this as a journal. I think it's important to just kind of keep track of that sort of stuff. Find out where you're going wrong if you're losing trades. Find out what you're doing right and developing strategies from there. Moon River. Let me bring that up. Does this have no price history, or has it just not been on Mexi for very long? Oh, Black Swan. I wonder if maybe that would change based on logarithmic scale versus the regular scale. I'm not sure. Yeah, why does yours look so much different than mine? That's weird. Sorry. USDT. Here we go. What are we on? We're on the 4-hour chart here. This again would have been a nice buy signal. Obviously, it's a little late now. That move may have already happened, but we had the W's trending to the upside. Then we ended up getting the bottoms trending back up to the upside. That would have been a nice entry. What do we have now? Yeah, a little bit of a falling wedge. It is definitely at resistance, so I'd be a little bit nervous longing it right now because you're longing into resistance. We have this supply zone as well as we have our third kind of touch point along this resistance line. Be a little cautious. I do think momentum's on its side. The W's are trending to the upside. I do think it looks good. Just something to be a little bit cautious of. Also, I don't know if coins like this, I have no idea what the trading volume with it is or anything like that. I don't know if it's trading just spot or if it's with leverage or what. I wanted to talk about another bit of risk management, you guys. Is pay attention to, I guess, when you're trying to trade coins that have low liquidity, that don't have much trade volume, slippage can be a serious concern. And this actually happened to me last week. When I'm trading with, I use high leverage so that I can avoid using high margin. So I ended up, I think it saved me using high leverage because I was able to put a small amount on a trade that I took on a coin that didn't have much volume. It turns out I ended up taking a scalp based on one of these signals, basically the higher trending W's. I was probably in about a 30% profit within, 10, 15 minutes, something like that. I set my stop loss to about a 5% profit, and all of a sudden, 1 minute, that position got totally liquidated. Again, when I'm trading with high leverage, I'm using a small amount of leverage, a small amount of margin. But even though I had my stop loss in a healthy profit, since it was a coin that never had much volume, that position actually got wiped out. Not the end of the world, because bankroll management, don't get stupid with your trades. Obviously, keep bankroll in the back of your mind, because you always want to be prepared for what happens worst case scenario. And that's one of the reasons why I love having high leverage, is because I can avoid putting a lot of margin on a trade. I can avoid putting a lot of margin even onto my trading accounts. I would rather have my funds safe and secure and trade with higher leverage and just use that instead of having myself too exposed on the exchanges or in those types of events. So I just wanted to share a personal experience of mine, because I think risk management is important. And I think a lot of people think that, if I have a nice tight stop loss, I can go all in because nothing bad will happen. I'll only lose 1% of my account or whatever. Just understand that if you're playing something that does have low liquidity like that, And really, it can be any coin. I have seen it happen with Bitcoin as well, where there's been some crazy slippage. Haven't seen it as much in the last year or two, but that is something to always be cautious about. That be ready for worst case scenario if something happens to your exchange. I mean, we saw what happened with FTX, with Celsius, all those other things where shit basically spiraled out of control. Just kind of always be aware of what your worst case scenario is by having money tied up in trades or on a trading account or anything like that, right? Since we were on the topic of risk management, I figured I would throw that one out there for you guys. But this, as far as the chart goes, I mean, it's not really getting shut down by the resistance too hard. Like I said, we do have this supply zone right here. But if we got if we get candle closes above and then come back down and kind of flip that resistance into support, that's where I think this can start staircasing a little bit higher and maybe targeting some of these higher supply zones. I would say momentum's definitely on its side, and really, at the end of the day, it mostly comes down to what Bitcoin's doing, right? If Bitcoin's going to be doing well, the altcoin market's probably going to be doing even better. If Bitcoin is going to, let's just say that we are going to get shut down by this resistance and we end up losing this support, yeah, obviously altcoins are going to get shit on as well. But overall, I think Bitcoin looks good. I think that if we would have ended up seeing a harsh rejection, I really don't think we would have got above this resistance even here. I personally think if we were in a weak market, we would have been finding resistance here. Instead, we kind of got above it and are now respecting it as support. To me, it just looks like we're building support and getting ready to test higher. Nice. Thanks for coming, Stock Poker. Good to see you again. Oh, I think I got a couple more. ADA. I think I saw that somewhere up a little ways. Sorry, just catching up with some chat here. Why don't I see it? Whatever. Yeah, let's bring up ADA. Everything kind of just has a nice looking... Oh yeah, here actually we got mixed signals here again. We have the highs and the lows with these reversal warnings not really lining up with each other. This supply zone does look a little bit brighter. You can see that it doubled up on itself here, so it was definitely leaning a little bit bearish there. It looks like we have another kind of a pennant. Like, you can see that, yeah, boom, we do have our 3 touch points. So in this case, I would love to see ADA, now that it's got its 3rd touch point, I want to see it break above this and kind of get some kind of a retest and then start staircasing higher. I think that could be a nice entry. If we end up pulling back a little bit further, actually, well, once again, guys, when we got this little bounce here, so we had this high here, we had a higher high, this was our confirmed higher low. You pull a Fibonacci from this to where we had topped out and then came pulling back. I mean, once again, look at that beautiful entry right in that 786-886 Fibonacci pocket. I really believe that that is such a strong level of confluence when you're looking for entries on positions. I find that so often that level is respected on pullbacks. So if you're hesitant to play a breakout, because obviously playing breakouts does have its own bit of risks, because if you have a stop loss below the range, it is going to be a lot further away. That's where waiting for those pullbacks and waiting for those entries around those Fibonacci levels with confluence with your other trading strategies, I think that's such an important level to always watch. Basically every swing, they get respected so well. I'm actually not in a trade right now. Other than my grid bot. My grid bot has traded 1,400 times in the last 2.5 days because Prop C has been so volatile. If you guys aren't aware of how, what grid bots are or how they work or anything, I did make this little video because a few people were asking about it, because I was using spot grid bots basically as a bit of a hedge, and also in an attempt to accumulate more of an asset for free, basically just letting a grid bot go while I was trading in this range here. Over the course of 2.5 weeks, I ended up with, like, I think it was something around 20% more coins of Prop C, just because it was every cent that it moved, it was buying and selling. I had this range mapped out to with as many grids as it would let me take. And basically, as it would go down, it's just buying every cent. Every time it moves up a cent, it's selling. So it's really just nickel and diming trades. But since it's automatic, it's systemated, it just automatically keeps taking the same trades in a ranging market like that. It was very interesting. That's the first time I've kind of done it. And that's another interesting trading style. You can do it with futures bots as well. Obviously, that has additional risks to it. I was looking at this as more of a safe approach for accumulating an asset. But yeah, definitely different strategies there as well. Totally different from how I normally trade. But I really do think that getting efficient at running grid bots, whether it's futures or spot, I think that there's a lot of potential there. Yeah, it's. I personally think it was amazing in this kind of a chop because it was just so systematic, right? I mean, it's just, especially spot like that. And the reason I did it with this coin as well is because I was okay if basically treating it like I bought a little bit more, basically. Added a little bit of spot to my bag, but then just ran a bot with it instead. So just again treating it as a bit of a hedge. There is its risks. Like, had I not changed my parameters and we got this breakout, we would have been out of my zone because I had it mapped out something like this. And as soon as we broke out, I would have basically, my bot would have not done anything unless we dropped back into the range. But being I was openly bullish in the group on Prop C here. Since I was leaning so bullish, and as soon as we started flirting with the idea of breaking out of this triangle, I changed my parameters, and I actually downsized my bot significantly because since I do think we're in kind of a breakout, I see potential for a lot further upside. And if I'm right about that, I mean, like I said, I was in from down here anyways. But if we do end up pumping that much, I don't really care about my bot nickel and diming and just collecting very small trades like that. I would rather just wait until it kind of starts ranging again. But yeah, like I said, I was treating this like I was just basically buying more. So if we did end up dropping out of my range, I would have just started a new bot in a different range, kind of a thing. And I would have been comfortable with it because I was just going to hold it anyways, not doing anything. So instead I ran a bot with it. But I would not do that with my entire position. I was only doing that with a small percentage of what I was holding because, like I said, I really didn't want to end up missing this move or something like that by having my entire spot bag in a bot right here. And as soon as you get that moonshot, all of a sudden it's just stops gaining value. I didn't want that, so I did change things up there. So I do still have a small one running, basically from $2 to $3. And once we break that, then I'll probably stop that. I'll make a new one with a different range, just maybe I'll even wait and just see where we start ranging and then run another grid bot. But yeah, that's just another. I don't think anyone else has been talking about that in these streams. So yeah, that's absolutely another interesting strategy. I know I've seen other coaches talk about, on the, let's say they bought Bitcoin, for example, at these levels, and they were selling on the way up, and then on the way down they're starting to accumulate again. The grid bot basically does that, but just however many sections you want to split a range into, and it'll just automatically keep buying at those levels on its way down and keep selling on its way up. So it's just kind of automated. And yeah, there is a lot of customization you can do with it too. So just as far as like a longer term hold, and honestly, like I said, I haven't really played around with the futures grid bots all too much. But I can definitely see how there'd be potential there. Yes, I can absolutely look. Sorry, I kind of got sidetracked. Support line. See, I was talking about ADA being in a bit of a pennant. I think it would be something like this. Both the support and the resistance has several touches. But yes, Pith. Yeah, Mexi, sure. Oh yeah, that was the one that was up to like, what was it? Yeah, $3 or $4, and then straight down. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I thought something went wrong with the airdrop or something. I thought I remember hearing, but who knows? 4-hour chart. Let's maybe zoom in because there's not a lot yet. I don't like that the bottom W's are still trending to the downside. Watch out for if we get kind of a lower high W, might be a bit of a warning. Before I would get too bullish on this, I would personally want to see the top W's trending to the upside as well as the bottom W's trending to the upside. But I mean, I think that's like pretty much brand new, so the market cap, I'm just assuming, is very small. So, I mean, in that case, it doesn't take much money to move the price very much for an asset like that. So, I mean, technicals only go so far in that case. It does look like, once again, just kind of some sort of a falling wedge forming. Something like so. Yeah, I'm seeing something like that. So there's definitely nice coiling up there. If we end up dropping that support, I think that's where I'd start to look for these Fibonacci's. And then, obviously, all-time low. I don't know if... I know nothing of this project, other than I saw a few of you guys talking about it and a few people on Twitter talking about it and that sort of thing. But yeah, to me, it looks like we're coiling up in a nice falling wedge. Might get a nice break out of that. Like I said, if it drops, watch this Fibonacci pocket. Get like a reversal warning or something inside that pocket. That could be a nice move. Nice buy signal. Yeah, not much I can say about that. Bitcoin's struggling to even get up to that 786. What the hell, Biddy? The 618 is where it's stopping so far. I find that these ones up here are actually respected more than the 618 on these smaller time frames, so I can't help but feel like we'll go a little higher yet. We do have this supply zone that formed. I'm not comfortable taking a scalp short here. I'd rather see one of my signals up in this box. Just to have the stop loss a little tighter. Yeah, what else? What else, guys? I guess we have been going for about an hour here. Something else I will mention, guys, is obviously my videos, if you end up missing them or just missing a part of them or anything, they will obviously be uploaded to the Academy as well. But I do get them up to my YouTube channel quicker, so if you don't follow me yet, just YouTube Trading, all one word, small YouTube channel. I share all of these Discord sessions on here, and as well just some of my own quicker, shorter analysis videos randomly and stuff like that. So give me a follow there, and as well on Twitter if you want to follow me there. As well, get involved with the legend board, you guys. For those of you who are already here, obviously as paying members, you're in the VIP here. This is something on the dashboard on the website that is completely free to do. It's basically a fantasy portfolio league. You just pick your coins, and there's weekly and monthly competitions, and you can actually win real money, or well, crypto, sent right to your account. So I mean, this is free to do. It's just something that they put on, and yeah, may as well earn some money in the process, right? That's what we're all here for anyways. Get involved with that. Super fun. A lot of people who have been involved in this. So if you're new to the community, I didn't know this existed for the first while that I was in here. So just thought I'd bring it up to you guys because I know there's a lot of new people here recently. So definitely come there, compete with the legends, and win some crypto. Bitcoin shooting up a little higher. Thanks for stopping by, Dust. Yeah, I'm probably going to wrap up soon here, guys. Ooh. It's not quite up in that Fibonacci pocket I want. If we do end up closing a W here, I mean, you could take a short scalp with your stop loss. I would probably keep it above this EMA here. That's just getting a little bit looser than I like for a stop loss. But it would be, you know, we'd have our W's trending to the downside on both angles here. So that could be a decent little scalp short. Again, just obviously bankroll management, do proper risk management, you guys. Just because it's a signal that I like taking doesn't mean it's going to work out every time, obviously. Unfortunately, we can't win every trade, so obviously just keep risk management like I was talking about. Always know what's going to happen if your trade goes against you. Know what your worst case scenario is. So I'm personally waiting till we hopefully get back up into my Fibonacci pocket. But this does have that lower W sell signal, so it's just a little bit higher risk. It just doesn't have the confluence that I wanted up here. But yeah, anyways, that's kind of how I use the indicators and whatnot, you guys. Obviously, if you have any questions, tag me in the Discord chat. It's a super helpful community. I'm sure you guys are all well aware now that it's just an excellent community to be a part of. Everyone's just here to help each other out, pump each other's tires. We're all just in it to have a great time and make some money together. So yeah, it's welcome to the community for those of you who are new around here. Other than that, anyways, my friends, if you're watching this stream a little later on my YouTube channel and appreciated this video, please do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. If you want access to these beautiful indicators with the VIP Discord, as well as a couple no KYC crypto exchanges, I've got some links down below for some special bonuses, discounts, and so on. And with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.